Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about postmortems. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, how would you suggest uh, an engineering tech lead champion open an honest postmortem? Well, I don't know what a tech lead champion would be doing, but and what I would do is that I would establish trust within the team first and foremost. That's the number one thing. So this is something that might be more difficult for some areas of the world and for some people than it's been historically for me. Uh, because this is one of those things where I truly believe that leadership is the main factor into how this goes. Where it's imperative that you as the tech lead have the trust of the people that you're dealing with. They have to understand that this is a post-mortem. We're going to go through everything from someone who made a mistake to like all the way down and so forth and so forth. If there's any tension about, if there's a stigmatization of making mistakes or so forth, you're going to have a very hard time doing a post-mortem because people are going to be on the defensive, or they might just be, hey, I don't really want to contribute to this in a meaningful way. They're not going to give you honest replies and stuff like that because they're scared or because they're indifferent, or etc. So you have to have a healthy team for that to be possible, and that comes down to you building trust with everybody. And I've made a few videos about this, at least what I believe is the key to doing that. And to me, it's really down to your personal aptitude as an individual if you can do this effectively. If you're petty or vindictive, or you're nitpicky, or you're quick to you have finger pointing and things like that, and you can't earn the respect at the technical level with your team, all of these things are going to be a problem for you usually. My belief is that you're going to have to lead by example and show that you can walk the walk, you can talk the talk, and you're also humble enough to admit when you made a mistake. And the only thing that you request, or the thing that you put on your teammates, should be that everybody acts in good faith and everybody does their absolute best. If you can build up that sort of environment where everybody realizes that, yeah, we're gonna fuck up in this team, but the main thing is that on average we're doing a good job and we have each other's backs. This is never an issue. I've never found this to be a problem. The usual reason things fall apart in any team is when the trust and personal chemistry of the people within the team can't be established. It's actually that simple and that complicated at the same time, which is why I argue that it's not for everybody to take on this sort of work, because what usually happens when you have a very ineffective team composition and a very ineffective leadership style is that either, as I was saying, you don't really get a lot of honesty and so forth, but you can also get we go through the motion type of situation, which happens, I see quite a lot as well, where people go to they go to meetings, they go to stand-ups and so forth, but they usually just go through the motion. You're not actually gaining much value from the thing that you're doing. You're just doing it because you're supposed to be doing it. That can happen for the post-mortem as well, where people, as I've said a few times, guys, it's there is a genre of people who they understand the words and the rules, but they lack a deeper understanding of the wisdom behind the rules, so they can't achieve the goals. If you are incompetent or you don't have the aptitude for leadership or so forth, or it's the same thing with emotional intelligence or anything like that. You can read the same literature as everybody else, But if you don't understand, if your mind is not wired in such a way that you can understand the wisdom within the words and you're simply applying them as absolute rules for everything, then you're going to do really, really well in mathematics, but really, really poor in anything that has to do with humans and things that require nuances and adjustments and so forth, where it's more about taking in a lot of information and sort of channeling that into a greater perspective of what to do in any given situation. And that ability is required for you to have honest postmortems, effective stand-ups, scrum, like if you're doing agile or whatever you're doing, because people simply do not respond well to someone who creates, especially as a leader who creates an environment where they feel as if there's something to lose by contributing. That is if you cannot get away from that, then you should not be the leader for that team. Then you can be a dictator. You can force people with fear. I mean, there are absolutely styles for doing that, but you're not ever going to get any honesty out of people. Control, absolutely. Getting your way, absolutely. Anything that requires honesty is out the window if you create that sort of environment, usually. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you want to have honest postmortems or anything resembling effective stand-ups, etc., it comes down to you as the tech lead and the composition of people that you have. You cannot, if you have like disruptive elements or people who cause friction within the team on a fairly regular basis, create like a non-friction work environment usually. And that's the thing that you need to establish first and foremost. You don't have to have everybody love each other and always agree with each other, but you have to have a forum where people feel as if they don't have anything to lose by contributing, because that is the only threshold you have. Usually that's the only threshold you have to pass, in my opinion. Most people want to share their thoughts and ideas if they get a sensation that, hey, actually, yeah, I can help out here, and I don't instinctively feel as something is going to go wrong here. And if someone, for example, in a postmortem does something like a bug or introduce it, it requires a lot of that individual in some cases to admit that they did something that was bad or they caused the bug. It's a horrible sensation. Everybody knows it, and that's, as I said, that's your responsibility ultimately to get to a point where someone can fuck up and you can, I mean, temporarily feel that is horrible and like people can be upset about it temporarily and so forth, but they also, I'm not going to say family because that's not necessarily true, but they know that this is going to pass and it's going to be all right again. If you, it is really, in my opinion, that simple, but not everybody can do that. It requires the right sort of people, just as not everybody can be a psychiatrist or a therapist or like a youth counselor or so forth. Some people are very good with people and building up trust and comfort and so forth, and some people are not. And if you want effectively running teams that have like a good like social dynamic, that's the sort of person you need for this job. Anything else is usually going to end with either people like not really saying what they are thinking and stuff like that, and a lot of people just going through the motions of doing things. And you're going to see that especially in the retrospectives, where you have people who sort of like just put these nothing cards. You never have a substantial conversation about anything. You're just doing the meeting, saying a few shallow things, and then basically the conversation fizzles out. If you keep on seeing that the conversation fizzles out over and over, you're doing the thing I'm talking about. You're forcing an interaction that nobody really cares about, and the only person who can fix that is, well, it's all of you, but it's more your responsibility than anybody else's. Have a great day.